Hi, Two Hills community. Amy Betcher here with the Two Hills Community and Area Wellness Coalition, the THCWC. And I am here today with Constable Brochu. We ended up in the interview room, ironically, because my mics are not working. I really do need a new phone. So, I'm going to tell my husband that. I do need a new phone. I can justify it. So here we are in the interview room, and I really appreciate you taking the time to meet with me today, and we'll just jump in.
Sure, yeah, by all means. Okay, right. I'm excited.
Awesome.
Okay.
So, how long have you lived in the Two Hills area?
So I've been in Two Hills for 2 years. I've been here for basically since I've been posted here out of depot, and so about 2 years now. Just over. I'm actually my 2-year anniversary was July 19th. So just
cool.
2 years now. Yeah.
So I can probably guess what brought you to the Two Hills area.
Yeah. Stationed here before here. I lived in Alberta. I was born in Grand Prairie and grew up in Red Deer. So I'm still close to home. So I've been here since 2019.
Oh, wow. Cool. So you were born in the QE too.
Yes.
I was born in the QE too also.
Yeah.
And you know where Grovedale is?
Grovedale. I don't know where Grovedale is.
You don't know?
No.
Oh, south of Grand Prairie. Okay. Who knows?
Yeah.
It's hillbilly country
is
out
it?
there a little bit. And I love you, Grovedale. I'm a hillbilly.
Yeah.
So, okay, awesome. All right. Well, the next question I have for you is, what does mental wellness mean to you?
Some of the things that come to my mind is how comfortable you are with yourself. It's very important, and that could mean just how comfortable are you with your values, your job, your family, and it's not what other people think. It's about how your perspective on where you're at, and mental wellness is so important. And it could be, your mental wellness could include what values you're practicing, the people around you, and it's more of a road and a journey, and not not a defined I'm feeling good.
Right.
You can be being sad, and all the negative emotions is important in mental wellness. So
Right, and still be healthy.
Yes.
While experiencing the negative.
Yeah.
Emotions too.
Yeah, it's very important to just mental wellness is it's practice, right? I think oftentimes we think we'll experience the good. Some of us, not everyone, right? Some people struggle with accepting and embracing the good emotions, but then they may struggle with accepting and embracing the bad emotions. And you should do it for all emotions. And there's some people that are really good at embracing the bad emotions, but not be so good at embracing the good emotions. And it's just about being aware of that, right? And everyone's mental wellness and what it means to them is so different. But I think mine is your values, your confidence, and how comfortable you are with yourself moving forward.
Right. And I like how you said that it's a journey, that it's not a fixed point in your life. You've achieved it and now you're good, that it's okay to fluctuate and to work it out.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. And this is great because there's still mental health stigma, and it's important that we talk about what mental illness is, and we kind of study it, if you will, because it can be very difficult to do when the first time you're studying your wellness and what it means to you when you're ill physically or mentally.
When you're in a bad spot.
Exactly. Yeah, it can be very hard. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, well, how has COVID affected you personally?
Oh man, COVID has affected me so much. It's affected me in my job. We could talk about the small things, wearing a mask all the time, the enforcement part, very challenging. Even more so, even my personal life, like because I live here in Two Hills by myself, there was probably like a 6-month period around there where pretty much I was just by myself, meaning the only interaction I had with other people was online or at work, and generally the people we speak to are not too happy about seeing us.
Right.
So it really affected my mental health
Huh?
very negatively. Um, yeah, I guess, yeah. So yeah, I guess it's definitely challenged my mental health.
Yeah.
Definitely felt isolated. I know what that feels like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially as an individual that lives alone.
Yeah.
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 And I never even considered that your only human interactions would have been so negative when deployed at work. So,
Exactly, right?
yeah.
And that's why when we talk about mental illness, right, you have to practice it, because very easily, you can become, how do you say, you can become very biased, right? If my perception of living in Two Hills is being isolated and dealing with break and enters and domestics or mental health calls, and if I think that's all that's out there, then that's not. I'm practicing not in the best way.
Right.
So yeah, it's good to have that foundation, and I understand, though it was challenging and I'm not perfect. I've had my bad days, my bad weeks, some days where I thought I couldn't go any further.
Yeah.
But you just keep going, and you practice your values, and you'll be good. Yeah. So,
Awesome. Thank you.
okay.
So what that kind of leads into what kind of things help you cope when you're struggling?
Yeah. So I got a cat. A pet helps. Like I think having having a pet. I got a new cat. She's wonderful. I feel less alone at home. It just brings like a certain. It makes the house feel alive.
Yeah.
So that was very important, because I just felt I was always all alone. So
Yeah.
now I don't feel like that so much.
Yeah.
Calling my family anytime I get. Obviously now a lot of the restrictions are lifted, so now there was weeks where on my days off I would always go back to Red Deer to visit family. And just talking to coworkers, like we're very close here at Two Hills Detachment, and just being open, because that's one of the things I practice is being open with your mental health, and not just when you're doing well, but also when you're struggling.
Yeah.
Because you never know if someone looks up to you and thinks you're a great person or a great guy or a great girl, and you could, they really focus on how you perceive your circumstances, and it could mean so much. You could do a lot of damage by making a comment about mental health in a negative context.
Yeah.
Or you could actually be the first aid kit to someone when they're in that, by making I've been struggling, but this is how I deal with things. So I just try to be open with my emotions best I can. I'm not perfect, so talking with family. So I got my cat, talking with family. I started going on runs, but I'm kind of like this. I'll be really motivated, then drop. Really motivated, then drop. And more recently, I have a trip planned to Hawaii.
Oh,
so that's a little bit extreme. I know, pretty cookie cutter vacation, but I'm excited about that. So I like to go on hikes, explore. I like exploring basically everywhere.
So getting outside, getting into nature, and get some fresh air.
Yeah, so that's how I started journaling. Never journaled in my life. So I started journaling. That's helped. Yeah, just it's important. I think oftentimes, with my experience with mental health, is we never know how good things are for us until they're really gone and we haven't practiced them.
Right.
Like I've talked to many people who are struggling, and if we break down why they're struggling, and we can practice a little bit. It's not about fixing the problem, it's just about supporting that person so that they can deal with that. But even going for a walk, the person would be like, wow, this walk was amazing. And I used to go on walks all the time, but I stopped, and then they realized, wow, that was a symptom of my mental wellness and illness, is me not going for walks, me not practicing
Right.
those things. So yeah, it's very good to be open with people, because sometimes sometimes you don't notice that stuff. It's a loved one that tells you. It's your
Right.
husband, your
Right.
kids, or whatever.
Well, ironically, my husband has told me that he thinks I should start running again because I was a much happier person when I was running. So
there you go.
I guess I should start running too.
Right?
I think about it, but it's hard to get out of bed in the morning.
Yeah. They say like exercise is like the medicine for everything. So,
Yeah.
but who knows? Yeah, it's hard. Easier said than done.
Easier said than done somehow. Okay, well, my last question is just a random question.
Sure.
It's an easy one. Well,
Okay.
maybe. What's your favorite place? I know that you've got to travel around a little bit. What is your favorite place you've been to and why?
In like Two Hills area?
Well, Two Hills. Tell me Two Hills first and then tell me everywhere.
Okay. My favorite place in Two Hills. Actually, there's this really, it's probably by the North Saskatchewan River. There's this, I like to go on rural patrols, like, and just, especially when I first started, it was probably, it's one of the coolest things I like about my job is being able to drive around on old range roads.
Mm-hmm.
And you should see some of the faces I get from farmers when they're like, what is he doing out here? Yeah. Anyway, there was one spot I found by the North Saskatchewan River. I forget exactly where it is, over what range road and township road. But there's kind of a stop where you can get off, and then you travel down there, and you can walk along the North Saskatchewan River.
Oh, nice.
It's just so peaceful. Yeah, it's this little piece of heaven. So that's probably my favorite place in Two Hills. Oh, there's also my favorite road. I have a favorite road in Two Hills. It's on Harry Hill. If you enter Harry Hill and you leave, it's on a township road.
Yeah.
But you're not taking to go back to the highway. You're leaving through the town,
Yeah.
and you drive past like Harry Hill, like the hills surrounding Harry Hill.
Yeah.
And you keep following that road, and you come to a T intersection, and right at the end of it is a church. I don't know. I just so that was cool. Like thinking about our ancestors and that lived in probably Harry Hill, and they would I don't know, ride a horse.
Harry Hill's a pretty cool spot.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
And when I interviewed Anthony Giesbrick, we had the big buffalo behind it, and I just when I drive by from the highway, I always try and picture it with covered in buffalo and how that must have looked for them.
Yeah, for sure, yeah. And I'm pretty sentimental guy. Like I love history, and like I'll like stop and like think about, what the people were, how they perceive the world at their time, right? And how important it is to think about that. So that's probably my favorite road and my favorite place in Two Hills County. Favorite place in like the world. Oh man, that's hard. Oh, jeez.
You haven't been to Hawaii yet, so maybe this isn't the right time to ask
I think
you.
just the mountains. That brings up another important thing. Like, I try to go to the mountains at least once a year, if not more. We already touched on nature, but I think the mountains and the mountains could be, anywhere. It could be, mostly I go to Camrose or Banff or Jasper, but just, that would probably be the mountains. I feel at home with that. Also the desert. I like going to desert areas. There's something about the desert that speaks to me, or I just feel at peace in the desert. Yeah. So
Interesting.
yeah.
Well, the mountains and the desert give you good perspective on our insignificance. Is that helpful for mental health to know they're insignificant?
Yeah, I think it is. No, it means your problems. That's why I like thinking about our ancestors, right? Because, when you're thinking about, I don't want to get too dark, but when you're thinking about people's lives and, there's a history that you can see, that's a written history, and you can see how they lived and how they died, and, and how different the world was. And the world really does keep turning,
Yeah.
and, and if you take a time to study and research how people have gotten through, like I always use this analogy. I don't know if I'm getting too out. You can stop me. But I always use this analogy when I'm helping someone who's struggling with their mental health or addiction or something, and I ask them, if do you know how to fix cars? And they're like, oh yeah. Most people around here are pretty smart when it comes to fixing farming equipment and stuff, and they tell me, well, how did you get good at it? Well, I was taught by my dad. I was taught by my grandfather. I have manuals and stuff, and sometimes I watch YouTube videos or go to the library or whatever. Then when we talk about their mental health side, I'm like, well, how do you practice and study that? They're like, well, I don't. I react. We end up determining that they react to the emotion, not understanding that's a symptom. So it's important. I think we take a moment to take time to look at how people have gone through hardships and how our ancestors in the area have gone through hardships, because you can find strength in that, and it's possible. We all have that in common. I think we're all human.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, thank you so much, Constable Brochu, for taking time, and we hope you guys have a great day.
Yes. Yeah. If you guys see me out there, just take your time to say hello, and I hope you have a good rest of the summer.
Super.
Okay.